Greetings, I'm the One Called Horror Show, and welcome to VG Therapy, the channel where I talk about games. Now, I haven't dived too deep into Sega. Like, I do own most of the systems, and I do enjoy a fair number of games on there, but I haven't dived too deep. Like, for example, when I got my Master System, I just asked the guy for any games that he had that were good. He gave me a couple, which was more so because he didn't have too many, and I walked away happy. And one of the few games I have actually played for the Master System, and one of the few games I do own for it, is Master of Darkness. Or as some people like to call it, not Castlevania.
The game was made by Sims, a company which was partially owned by Sega back in the day until 2004, where they split off and did their own thing. And looking through their list of games, not much of value was lost, or even done with the company. The only games I could find of note that they had made was Power Rangers the movie, a Slam Dunk game, a Blue Seed game, and Tails Sky Patrol, and a ton of ports to Sega consoles. It seems like that they were mainly in charge of porting various games to Sega systems like Ninja Gaiden, Shin Megami Tensei, and possibly Tetris.
Now, I couldn't find anything concrete on this. I just found a few people suggesting that they did, but that, mixed with the fact that they handled a lot of ports at this time, leads me to believe that it is a possibility.
They also worked with Sega R&D on a few things and made a ton of fishing games. But one of the games they did make was this one, and they decided on two things. First is that the Master System version's only going to come out in PAL territories while everyone else gets the Game Gear version, and second is that having the same name across different versions was a no-go. Being released in Japan in 1992 as In the Wake of Vampire, 1993 for both versions in PAL, and America got it later that year as Vampire Master of Darkness.
I don't know why we were the only ones who got the port to Master System. Like, it might be because in PAL territories the Master System was doing a lot better. At least I'm led to believe. But what I do know is that the story is barely worth mentioning, so let me mention it here.
The game is about Dracula being a problem in England, and using the power of the Ouija board Dr. Social.
Dr. Social? With a name like that, I'm led to believe that he's some sort of children's mascot that's supposed to be encouraging kids to socialize or something. Oh, he's a psychologist. Because of course he is.
Either way, he's the only one capable of fighting Dracula and his minions. Like Jack the Ripper, because of course he's in this game. After all, it's set in Victorian England, gotta get them famous serial killer landmarks in to make sure the kiddies know what era this game is set in. And he doesn't even do much. You fight him and he just tells you to go to the wax museum because why not? Which, to be fair, the other two bosses basically in the same way. They just tell you where to go to get another clue until the second to last boss, who after being defeated, decides to knock you out.
Yeah, so he was losing until he decided to not lose. And his goal was murder, but then he decides to knock you out and drag you to Castle Transylvania. What was your plan, sir?
What ends up happening is that you escape and kill him and then Dracula with relative ease. Afterwards, you're treated to a text scroll and credits.
Now, this final level brings up 2 points that kinda angered me, like 2 issues I had, which kind of revolve around the fact that I call this game not Castlevania. Because this game is basically Castlevania, and the only thing that distinguishes it is the fact that it's not. Now, I am oversimplifying things by a bit, but it's only a bit. I'm not oversimplifying things much.
The game is a side-scrolling action game that controls and feels exactly like Castlevania, a bit looser but pretty much the same, with health items hidden in walls and hanging things that you hit and they give you something, often a weapon. Now here's one thing that this game does differently: you can get sub-weapons and main weapons. You can switch out your knife for a cane, a rapier, or an axe, each with slight differences in speed, range, and damage. Although, honestly, in what I could find, there's no reason to use anything other than the axe. And with the sub-weapons, there's a gun, bomb, boomerang, and a wooden stake, or projectile. What? No, that's dumb. Why would you call it a projectile? They're all projectiles!
Either way, you progress through the levels, and it's not too difficult, at least I wasn't finding. And this is actually the perfect place for me to bring up the second point, which is the fact that the game requires you to think in a way that you don't normally, or at least I wasn't. And this is displayed perfectly in 2 quote-unquote puzzles.
The first one is when you come across a room with a wall stopping you from going further. There's also a pendulum in the middle of the room. I figured that I was supposed to go somewhere else because there was nowhere for me to go, but I was wrong. What I was supposed to do was wait for the pendulum to swing through the wall, jump on it, and jump through the roof. I didn't think that was an option because you can jump through platforms from beneath, and I had done that before, but never to then stand on it. The one that really confused me was at the very end of the game. You're in a level where there's stairs leading to different floors, and they loop, so you need to figure out where you're supposed to go. Now I figured that the staircase case that I couldn't get to was where I needed to go, but I couldn't figure out how to get there. The reason I was having trouble was because I was playing this game like a Castlevania game, and so I didn't think I could jump off the stairs. And turns out that this was not where I needed to go, but that whole event's on me, I'll cop that one. Where you're supposed to go was hidden in a way that I never expected to come across. You're supposed to go to this part of the level and attack these blocks and jump down the pit, and there's two reasons why I didn't think of this until much later. Throughout the game, you attack walls to find secrets, not platforms. The game hadn't established that you could do that, and the destructible walls have never hidden the way forward. The second reason why I didn't think of this was because while the game does have pits that you can fall down and go to a different part of the level, there is also a lot of instant death pits. So I was led to believe that the pit hidden under these blocks could kill me. So with both of those two ideas I had, I never had a reason to attack those blocks. I eventually did figure it out, but I was basically trying everything at that point.
This game is fine. Like, it's not too terrible, and it's just, like, okay. I mean, if you like Castlevania and you have a Master System, then you probably like this game, but if you don't have a Master System, I wouldn't say you need to go out of your way to get one or find a way to play this. Because, honestly, I think that one of the best ways you can experience it, the same way as I did. You needed games for your Master System, and so you got it. And with that, I'd say it's a 2 out of 4, because it's fine, but if you don't have a Master System, I'd say probably not worth your time. It's just kind of, it's a lesser Castlevania. Castlevania is a great thing to be lesser of, but at the same time, it's just a lesser Castlevania. But it doesn't do anything special with it. And with that, I've been Horror Show, and this has been VG Therapy.